What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what really moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did close 0.56% in the green, 28.31 the low, 29.25 the high, and 55 million shares being traded. So today, overall, was rather interesting, only because we didn't really have any crazy data point. That all was yesterday, which didn't come in really in line with expectation. Today we had pretty basic stuff, but that was enough to really push the momentum quite significantly, in fact. So we did have mortgage applications that came in at 0.2, a lot better than the previous. Mortgage market index came in at 317, and then we did have initial jobless claims that came in at 216 versus a forecast of 224. And so initial jobless claims, it all came down to that, in my opinion, that really pushed the optimism higher. And because that initial jobless claims has not been that low since April of this year. So no different than yesterday. It took the market a good hour and a half to actually realize, say, hey, you know what? This is possibly a good thing, and really started to move higher. Because of all this positive data though, it didn't really change the likelihood of this. And so that's kind of a positive thing. Goes to show that the market is very much believing a rate cut is coming. So right now there is a 83.1% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. Today, SoFi did put out news, and that was this right here, and it was done after hours. And it's, SoFi to participate in UBS Global Tech and AI Conference. So this is slated for December the 3rd. Chris is going to be the individual that speaks. So historically speaking, SoFi always does close green on one of these fireside chats. So at least that's something to look forward to next week. SoFi also did put out a Forum 4 after hours today. And it looks like Steven's doing the same thing that Chris did, which was a prepaid variable forward contract. This one is for about 384,000. So pretty good stuff. Most likely you're going to have a lot of individuals out there kind of spreading some wrong information, no different than what happened with Chris, but that's kind of typically what does happen. But aside from that, that's pretty much it. So it was just moving alongside much of the greater market. A couple of things that I did find interesting though. So shorts did increase 111,000 shares, 10.06% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 119.12 million shares overall being shorted. DTC is sitting at 1.66 days, so that's starting to inch up a little bit. And I think it's also moving up because SoFi's average volume is starting to kind of drop a little bit, because DTC does factor in the average volume in comparison to number of shares being shorted. But skipping right forward to this. So as per usual, I always like to analyze where volume comes from. And so these are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market. You did see some good buys that was more roughly between that $10 and $11 range. So anything with an ask is a buy. As you can kind of see, there was a lot of selling. So as per usual, algorithmic trading was really pushing the broader market higher. In SoFi's case, you actually had institutions selling. So once again, you kind of have this weird type of back and forth. So a lot of very inconsistent information. So it's either algorithmic trading is setting up for the biggest bull trap of them all, or eventually institutions are just going to have to warm up to the idea that we are really moving higher. So we're going to have that epiphany. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. Tomorrow, it being Thursday, the market does close at 1 and historically very low volume, same as Friday. So today was the last real trading day for the week. And I'm very excited for Friday. On a side note, as I've mentioned about the short side of that. So that'll be a fun video. But aside from that, these are all the transactions that did occur on the dark pool. So you had a big one of 10.6, 1.7, 1.4, 1.4. So kind of small stuff, kind of matches with overall shorts not really doing too much. Looking at the options, we had 47 million in calls, 12 million in puts. I know it always sounds stupid me saying it, but it is relatively low volume, even though it was 58.8 million in premiums. 42% of all the options though were bullish in nature, and there is a consensus for it to be roughly around that 29 to 29.50 by the end of Friday, and then bears are anticipating for it to be sub 28.50. So given where we did close, there's definitely a lot more upside. One thing to take note of though, with it closing at 28.49, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 29.03 is going to be that key point to get over. It did break above it when we had our high of 29.25, but didn't really have enough to kind of stay there. One thing that I wanted to share with you, so it kind of matches with the whole narrative of being a bull trap. And I don't like to spread fear. Obviously, this is just me ranting. I go over the data points and I interpret. Obviously, I don't prepare for these videos. I'm analyzing the data as I see it in front of you, or in front of me, I guess. But I have brought up previously that Thursday and Fridays suck. And it's kind of a very common occurrence. So for instance, Thursday on November 20th, we had a horrific sell-off. And then same as Friday, November the 21st. Right over here, Thursday, November the 13th, Friday, November the 14th, Thursday, November the 6th, Friday, November the 7th, Thursday, October the 30th, then the 31st. Fridays and Thursdays suck. So I don't know if that is an indication of what potentially could come tomorrow. Again, with lower volume, things could move very fast with kind of just one or two buys possibly. Luckily enough, though, it did stay above that 50-day moving average, so that's that blue line right here. And typically, that's a very big deal for a lot of growth stocks. So I think that's kind of a good thing, as long as they can hold that tomorrow, because you do need 2 consecutive days to really signal a trend. So as long as it is able to hold that 28.16, then things should be pretty good. But again, if history repeats itself, you could see a little bit more volatile times over the next couple of trading days. But again, if you have capital on the side, clearly every single time it has these sell-offs, it does typically work out to be a good time to buy, in my opinion, because Friday usually is one of these days that has that crazy sell-off, and then it recovers Monday. Right here, recovers Monday. Right here, recovers Monday. It's just rinse and repeat. And this is why I do feel like almost every video I do talk about, like growth stock wise, algorithmic trading is what is really moving the market, like everywhere, not just with SoFi. So it's kind of comical. Maybe someone just set an algorithm just to crap all over Thursday and Fridays for whatever reason. But nonetheless, looking at the market position for today, you do see a lot more willing buyers. So that's kind of a positive thing. SoFi just needs a nice gentle push, and then it can easily get above that, roughly about 29.40. You have a little bit of a grouping right there, and if it's able to kind of break above that, then $30 plus is on the table. There hasn't been that much in articles, so it's been kind of quiet for that. No new ratings. The last one did come out was yesterday, and that was November the 25th, and that was Triest, kind of lowering their target from 29 to 28. So at the end of the day, we'll have to wait and see how it does play out. So let me know your general thoughts on SoFi in the comments below. Did you buy? Did you sell? Are you bullish about the remaining part of the week, or do you think that we are in more of a bull trap, or what's your kind of general thoughts? And even if you look on social media, there's a lot of people now starting to be divided. Some people believing that we are in for a massive breakout, and then flip side, some bearish. Even when it comes down to institutions, JPM recently did raise their kind of expectations for the S&P. I think it was to 7,500, and if there's multiple rate cuts, then 8,000. You had Bank of America coming out saying, hey, you know what, we're due for a pullback. And I believe a couple other research firms said that we're due for a 10% pullback. So you're having this back and forth. So what's your kind of general thoughts on all that? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to kind of pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.